Turn my microphone on. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I had my microphone muted. And forgot to turn it on. Well, I almost got it right. Wow, wow, wow. Almost got it right. Well, kilts are still going on over there, so. But I'm back here. I am now. Terry Sue says he forgot to kick the tires before starting the car. No sound. There you go. So you should have sound now, I hope. Sandy Blythe gave me a thumbs up, loud and clear now. I almost pulled it off. So close, and yet I forgot to unmute my microphone. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, we figured that out. Thanks for letting me know. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Kilts are still going. Everybody's saying goodbye over there. And they're done. And they're off, and I will. Let me go over here to my notebook for a second. I'll let you follow me. It's over here on this desk. Let me log out of all this and shut the lid. Bang. Did it. Well, that worked out pretty good. You know me, if I can figure out some way to bring more buttons into the mix, I'm happy. However, I got to remember to push them all correctly. So here we are, Monday morning, September. Oh my God, September. September already. Wow. Are you muted, or is my W network? No, I'm not muted now. Everybody can hear me, so the We network, you should have my sound now. If it still don't have sound, somebody let me know, but I can't imagine why not. That was easy to troubleshoot. There was a big red light on my mixer that it was lit up on that channel that said mute. Didn't mute the music though. So look at all the people here. And Kilt's kind of did the Mitch Styles beginning. We just said hi to everybody in the chat. I went into the chat, but they got sidetracked before they got to me. Anyway, I love the guy. I love all of them. Kelsey, Nelson. I also really enjoy actually seeing maybe some of my own theories and influence find their way into what I think are the real influences in this community. And every once in a while I hear something got to come out of Kiltsy's mouth that I think he heard from me. And that, I got to tell you, that is incredibly flattering to me. I don't care who gets the credit for the concept. These concepts need to be out there. This morning, I'll tell you what I was talking about. And I may be wrong. Maybe I heard Kilt say it way back. But a couple of weeks ago, I went off on a rant about the major leading causes of death in this country. Cancer, heart disease were 1 and 2. And the third was medical mistakes. And I came out and said, if you remember, I don't agree with that. I think the medical community's responsible is the first one because it's their bad advice that's causing all the heart disease and cancer. And if you go back to the root cause, the main cause of death in this country are the medical community and the advice and the government and all the people that have turned us or are trying to turn us into no meat eating vegetarians. And I'm adamant about that. I've thought that for the longest time. And the first time I ever heard of that at anybody else's mouth was this morning. So if I stole it from you, Kelsey, thank you. It's an amazing concept. If you heard me say it, feel free to adopt it as part of your own, because it's an absolute truth, I believe, an absolute truth. Kiltsy is in the house. Good to see you, my brothers and sisters, he says. Kiltsy, good to see you this morning, man. Agree, it is the medical system. Number one, yes, Sandy, I absolutely blame them for everything. That's great to see Kilts in the house here. One day, I want you on, as a guest on here, but I want you to do it when you have time, Kelsey, and let me know. Whenever you think you might want to come on, follow me on to my stream. I'd love to have you in here, and we'll plan for it. We'll plan for it. Yeah, I'll make sure I got you the link and everything else. Let's see. Okay, is Nelson here too? I missed him. The chat just goes by so fast, so fast. Tuka's here. How you doing, Tuka? Everybody saying hi to Kelsey. Great to see you here. Try not to miss anybody this morning. Robin Heron is here too. Mitch, she said, God, it's great to see you this morning, Robin. I was on Robin's channel. God, that was a long time ago. We're getting old. We're all getting old. Who else is here? Lewis is here. We had a bunch of people that were early. Proud American was first one in yesterday, and Rick, of course, and homage to Rick. Quick, here it is. All right. Wouldn't be a morning stream without a quack or two. Smoothie was here last night. Peter, Wayne Herman, Sandy Blythe, Mandy Beddoes, and Eddie again. Jem, you were here last night. I'm so sorry it's too early for you out there, but it's good to see you. Lady June was here. Of course, Mike Seeley. Thomas at 5:30 this morning. Philip is here. This is Philip in the other Melbourne. Wow. Philip from the future. From late tonight down, well, maybe it's morning or no, late evening over in Melbourne, Australia. Barry Simon, good to see you. Mike Seeley Sr. Tuka's here this morning. And who is this? Meathead Kurt. How you doing, Kurt? Good morning to you. He says good morning right back. And Lori Weitzel's here. Good morning, everyone. Hiya, Lori. How you doing? This is exciting. Monday morning, and people are starting to wake up. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Community. It ain't a big community, but it's the best community of the smartest, most enlightened people who aren't afraid to be viewed as outcasts in a very sick and twisted world. I thought about that this morning. It always pops in my mind when I try to think about subjects to talk about on a video. And this morning I was thinking that it wouldn't be a bad idea to make a video basically as a warning to all people that are considering carnivore. I did this once before, and it was very popular. Last year, as I was walking around the community, I talked about it. Be careful what you wish for. Because people who aren't carnivores have no idea what they're getting themselves in for. And I talk about being social outcasts, but just basically outcasts everywhere you turn. You're viewed as stupid. You're viewed as self-destructive. You're viewed as a moron by so many people because everybody knows how unhealthy it is to eat meat. And you're not eating fiber. You're not eating plants. You're crazy. You're suicidal. And people start distancing themselves from you. You stop getting invited to parties. Your whole life changes in every way. you have to decide before you start carnivore whether you're willing to pay that price for perfect or great health, or for healing, for living without pain, without hunger, without cravings. That's a decision that most people aren't aware even exists in their future if they start carnivore. Everybody thinks you're a nut, your family and everybody. They treat you like a cultist, and most of us are not ready for that. And that's accounts for the dismal reality of the fact that if you had to put a number to how many people in this world are really enlightened, are really smart, are really realists, that number is pathetic. Here this morning, that number is 86. 86 of us. On Kelsey's live stream this morning, it got up to about 110. Well, it's a holiday, and that's a little light for both of us, but those numbers are scary. We may be the most exclusive club on the planet Earth. And most of you have been with me for a while, so I know that you've accepted all that goes with being a carnivore. And that's why I have so much respect for all the members of this community and the influencers like Kelsey and Nelson, Alia, Robin, that continue to talk about this in the face of monumental criticism from basically everybody. Basically everybody. Let's see, who was the first one in here at 7 a.m. this morning? It was Brian Dish again. Brian, you're getting it down to a science. Oh, that you, Loretta. Brian, where'd Brian? Oh, no, I skipped way down. Oh, Mitch. Let me go back up and give Brian his due. 7 a.m. There's a button at the bottom here that says scroll to the bottom of the chat, and I hit it accidentally. And I do that quite often because it's when I go to click the button to thank the first one in at 7 o'clock. My God, where is it? 701. Oh, the traffic. Oh, the humanity. Come on, Brian Dish. 7 o'clock. There's the one. Happy Memorial Day. Old guy, Carnivore, Mitch Weiss at all the Misfits. Brian, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to go down to the current chat so I can see what I'm missing. Kelsey's still here. Wow, no holidays do the rest of life. Oh, well, Loretta Nadal, good morning, darlings, she says, darlings. Have a fabulous day. Wow, Kelsey says, we are growing. Yeah, Kelsey, we're growing all right. The good thing is we're not really growing in size. Maybe we're growing in numbers, which is kind of a trend in the right direction. Robin Heron said, "You all right, Mitch? This weekend's meetup was the first time my family had heard my story. They thought I was crazy." Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. It doesn't make it easy to try to help them. I've given up. If someone wants help, I'm there for them. I'll do anything I can. But to try to convince the average brainwashed person out there that you're not crazy, that they're killing themselves, is beyond the scope of what they can actually comprehend. They can't comprehend that. It doesn't register. It just sounds like complete and utter lunacy. And yeah, it breaks your heart, especially if they're loved ones of yours. But if you keep harping at them, they will write you out of their life, and you don't want that. So you have to do what you can and then learn, especially with your family, when to back off and let them come to it themselves. And around all you can do at that point is be an example for them. You cannot be a teacher unless they are willing to become the student. They're at a point in their lives where they are part of the everyone that knows, that you hear about all the time. We all hear about, they say, well, they tell you, well, who the hell are they anyway? Who are they? Everyone knows. Well, every time I hear somebody tell me, well, everyone knows you need to eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and a lot of fiber, I give them the old timeout signal. I said, whoa, everyone doesn't know that. I know just the opposite. So if you're going to keep saying everyone knows, at least say everyone but Mitch knows. And I'll be happy with that. Because there's a lot of things I think I know that I don't think anybody else really knows. And I hold out the hope. It's been a life challenge of mine to find like-minded people to me, because I have some wild theories about pretty much everything. So when somebody says to you, everyone knows, say, don't include me in that. And if everyone tells you what they say, ask them, well, who are they? Can you give me a list of names? That'd be a good place for us to start and clear up some of these misconceptions. Peter says, enjoying being a carnivore lunatic who wants to be a normal, regular person who is a sheep in the flock. Exactly. Normal is a concept impossible to define. The parameters that it would take to figure out what normal is. Well, what's the normal height? I heard Kilt say this morning, normal weight. What's the normal height of a human being? What's the normal BMI? What's the normal temperature for today? I love that. In a world of constantly changing climate, we try to define what we think is normal. What's normal sea level? In billions of years of oceans rising and falling, hundreds and hundreds of feet, at what point in time do we stop everything and say, that's it, we've arrived, we're here, this is it, this is normal, and expect it to stay that way for the next billion years? It doesn't work that way. And once we've defined the normal, once we've built all the houses on the ocean front in South Florida that are just mere feet above sea level, then we come up with arrogant, human invented concepts that if it rises, the ocean rises another 1 inch, Armageddon, end of times are here, because it's not normal now. There's no such thing as normal. Period. That word should exist. Because it means that somebody has defined what normal is, and we cannot do that. We certainly can't define what's normal for the planet Earth. Climate changing, tides rising and falling, polar caps coming and going, continents moving. We can't dictate just because we said so, that it's going to stop right now, all of that, and stay right where it is, or we need to do something to fix it. It's not broken. It's not broken. So it's these things that people believe and take for granted and take as gospel are just snapshots, instant snapshots in time in a changing universe. We don't have the power to control any of that. We only can adapt to it as it happens and stay out of its way if we're able. Anyway, Kilt's talked about philosophizing. Yes, I do a lot of that. Sometimes I think I missed my calling. Maybe I should have been a philosopher. I guess I am a philosopher of sorts. Philosophy is something you can't teach people. I mean, they tried to in college. I have a PhD in philosophy. Philosophy comes from your own inner thinking and your own observations and how you see things. Otherwise, you're just quoting some other philosopher. How do you know if he was right? Maybe he was crazy. You don't know that. Luca's here. Kilts is still here. Fix yourself and you fix the world. That's all we can do, Kelsey. That's all we can do. We cannot fix anything but our actions. I agree 1,000%. I've often given you the compliment that, we think a lot alike about a lot of things. We may describe them differently sometimes, but down deep in our hearts, I think we're both very critical thinkers and realists, which is why I call you one of my best friends. Even though you're my new best friend, you're one of my best friends in the world. I feel a connection to you because I really don't think we disagree on much, if anything. Tuca, enjoy your day, Doc. Are you leaving us? I'm surprised you're here. Nelson didn't chime in this morning, did he? If he did, I missed him. People are having conversations. It's going to be one of those mornings. But we got plenty of time. I don't have a real program for today. It's kind of like ad lib Monday. But it's fun. And it's fun. It's fun. We were talking this morning. Barry Simon, Mitchosophy. Thank you, Barry. I like to think that I'm a deep thinker. Not so deep that I might drown, but deep enough to try to factor reality and what I know about history. And I'm not talking about history since the Spanish-American War. I'm talking about history since a bunch of stuff came together in the universe and formed Earth 4.5 or so billion years ago. I'm talking about what happened since then. Before then, I don't think we need to concern ourselves too much. But what happened since then has influenced basically everything that eventually became life on this planet. And I think that you can't be a true philosopher and really think deeply about the whys in the house, the meaning of life, if there is any, until you understand the path and the timeline. The timeline is the thing nobody considers. Nobody considers it. For example, how long ago? Who else knows this here? How long ago did the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom basically go their separate ways? Because all life came from one thing. But how long ago? How long ago before the last common ancestor of plants, of the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom? Anybody has it a guess? Put it in the chat if you do. And don't Google it either, because you get the answer from Google. Some facts they actually get right, based on all the archaeological and anthropology that's happened ever since we developed the science. Well, you're talking about fasting. Rick's laughing. Carnivore Whispers, how you doing? They had to take my granddaughter to doctors yesterday. She has been broke out in hives. Oh, wow. You think that's from the food? Maybe. Maybe. Nobody took a guess yet. Well, I'll tell you what the best of our current science can determine. Somewhere in the neighborhood, listen, of a billion two to a billion 6 years ago. Between 1.2 billion and 1.6 billion years ago is when a living cell swallowed, we talked about this, swallowed up the bacteria that it didn't absorb, but rather formed a symbiotic relationship with, that eventually led to mitochondria in all living cells, and has been named the first eukaryote cell. At that point, the beginning of the split between plants and animals happened, and that split occurred over hundreds of millions of years, one little accident at a time, until we had a plant kingdom and an animal kingdom. And the differences that happened in that, let's say 750 million years after, up until about 500-600 million years ago, that difference became profound. And most of it gave plants the ability for photosynthesis, and humans not. We are not built of exactly the same stuff that plants are built of. The point of this little exercise is basically, if we're not built of the same stuff plants are built of, why the hell are we eating plants? Why are we not convinced that we have to get our raw building materials from animals because we are animals? That accounts eventually for the fact that we sunburn. That is the birth of Plantman. Plantman. Plantman is my new character that I'm going to start making videos about. Plantman. It's about the absolutely short stopping of human evolution because of our interference, selective breeding, genetic modification. We have put a halt to evolution, that God is here, and think we're smart enough to direct it. And in the process, we are now, as a race and species, believe it or not, closing the gap between the animal and the plant kingdom. We are probably the only animal that's doing that. The animals that are herbivores eat plants, but process them differently. They don't eat them for the raw materials. They eat them basically, or the building materials, they eat them for the ability of their gut microbiome to convert them to fatty acids. We don't do that. We don't have that kind of gut anymore. So we eat more for We eat more for building materials, and we eat fat for energy, which is what our ancestors did. It all depends on what kind of machinery you have. But we are now evolving into plant man, as evidenced by the fact that we can't go out in the sun without sunscreen, without looking like we're dressed for a snowstorm, covering every square inch of our exposed skin, without sunglasses on to keep the sunlight from damaging our eyes, because we're becoming plant man. I read a number of times, the estimates are that some 20% of the sterols used to build the cell membranes of human beings are now plant sterols. They're bent on making photosynthesis happen. We're not supposed to get our energy from photosynthesis. We absorb other things from the sunlight, different wavelengths that do certain things, but we don't live on like plants do on photosynthesis. That's why plants don't have to get up and walk around and hunt other plants. They get their energy from the sunlight. We are now replacing cholesterol, which is the human sterol, with plant sterols. They're so close in molecular structure that in the absence of animal sterols, our bodies use the plant sterols to fill in. And because of that, we're turning ourselves into plants. Hence, Plant Man. So you're going to hear a lot about Plant Man in the future. I just keep trying to come up with new ways to convince people we are not supposed to eat plants. God, they're trying to poison us. We all believe that now, but the average person doesn't. They're still brainwashed into believing that they're healthy. Nobody even thinks about the fact that the plants we eat today don't even resemble the plants that our ancestors hunted or gathered. Anthony says, lived in tropicals 3 years, don't burn much. If you've been a carnivore for more than 2 years, because I have also read from studies, if you don't eat plants for a couple of years, your body eventually, in its normal cell replacement and rebuilding process, so autophagy and like that, will eventually rid your body of all the plant sterols, and all of your new cells will be built out of animal sterols. And that explains the observable phenomenon that carnivores, including me, do not sunburn anymore. Don't have to wear sunglasses outside. Don't have to wear a hat over my bald head and not continue to get precancers like I was. That all went away. The evidence is there. It's almost irrefutable if people will look in our direction. But the only thing they see when they look at our direction are a bunch of lunatics bent on killing themselves. And any of us that have any interaction with the medical community feel the condemnation from these people. Unfortunately, there are times when you need them, or you're thrown into their nonsense, kicking and screaming, like I was when I had the stroke. But my stroke recovery, at least the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks of it, were to get out of that alive and just not take any of their advice, and not even worry about the fact that, well, maybe they're right. They are all wrong about everything. They wanted me on drugs that would have killed me. I never would have recovered. I'm not fully recovered yet, but I never would have recovered as much as I had I taken their advice and their prescriptions. They were convinced that the only thing that caused my stroke was high cholesterol. And that was caused by the fact that I ate only meat. I mean, they were convinced. They knew that because everybody knows that. Some of them were even taught that in medical school by people who also knew that. They don't know where it came from. If they knew where that information came from, they might step back and take a look at themselves and say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the reason that meat's bad for me is because Ellen G. White was told by God that red meat causes impure sexual thoughts in men and makes them masturbate, and formed the Seventh-day Adventist religion. And like Kilt said, the Seventh-day Adventist religion in the late 1800s, spearheaded by Ellen G. White and her crew, and all of her prophecies from God while she was in a coma that told her that meat is bad and is sinful, and her hooking up with a young doctor named John Harvey Kellogg, who wasn't a doctor yet, but a 17-year-old editor who went and helped Ellen G. White edit all of her conversations with God that she made notes of. I think they say 2,000 of them, and get them published into the book, and was around at the formation of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, whose doctrine was don't eat meat, vegetarianism. And Ellen G. White and these new Seventh-day Adventists sent John Harvey Kellogg to medical school. Medical school. When he got out of medical school, he was now Dr. Kellogg. They bought, the Seventh-day Adventists bought and owned the sanitarium at Battle Creek. And they installed John Kellogg as its leader. Kellogg's mission was to get people to stop eating meat. That was his mission. It was a mission from God. He and his brother invented cornflakes. It was a food guaranteed not to promote sexual thoughts in men, do the opposite, to neuter men. One of the reasons it probably did this was because we all know now that eating excessive amounts of high glycemic carbohydrates lowers cholesterol. They bragged about it. Cheerios lowers cholesterol. All that stuff lowers cholesterol. And lowering cholesterol makes men less masculine. We've taken it to the real extreme now because we're on a mission started by the Seventh-day Adventists to basically castrate every living male on the planet chemically. Can the people in the medical community not see this pattern? Can't they see the history? I'm not making this stuff up. It's recorded. It's out there. It's documented. Thank you, Nina Teicholz and Gary Taubes, for doing the research to uncover this path. And that's what we're operating under today. Entire practice of medicine, the food pyramid, and even knowing the truth about where it came from, the nonsense and utter folly of it that goes against all of nature. We got woke. We don't even understand our sexual identity anymore. We have been so emasculated. It's politically incorrect to be a man anymore. You need to be an it now. At 3 years old, according to them, you need to be allowed to determine what sex you are. Where did this come from? So who's the oddball? People out there. None of you listening here, of course, but who's the oddball these days? Us? or the other 99.999% of the people that now think this is the definition of normal for a human being. Wow, 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 wow. Meathead says, Mitch, this doesn't fit their narrative that dumbs down the masses. Of course, it's all about profit, corruption, but ultimately control. It's all about control. And I've got to tell you that a human being whose goal in life is to have power over other human beings is a very sick puppy to start with. And definitely the last person you should take any advice or follow as a leader. Unfortunately, the dumb masses in most cases, and I'll say up until recently, elect the appropriate leaders for them and never get out of the herd. That's a little rant for this morning, but it's the truth. And I'm hoping, I've been playing around with AI a little bit and getting it to draw Plantman for me, getting it to come up with the character of Plantman. And I'm going to be talking more about that because I think just telling people plants trying to kill you is becoming an old hat. We all believe that. Nobody else does. I don't think that message is going to change a lot of minds into the future, because you'll be talking. You're talking chemistry. You're talking dynamics of species self-preservation that people don't understand. People don't understand evolution usually. So many people couch that in religious terms, with a big guy in charge making all the decisions. Very few people have studied anthropology, cellular biology, and all that stuff, and noticed the patterns of how this stuff came up over billions of years. They don't want to know that. They want to know who's in the football game and what's the Vegas line on it this weekend. Who won American Idol, and who's Taylor Swift really marrying. That's where our collective heads are, very far up our collective butts, being fed this stuff to keep us tame, like Robert says, weak and meek. And it's easy. It's easy. We don't have to think anymore. And now we've got Google to think for us, so even easier. And the age and the day of critical thinking and philosophy itself is dying. And a few of us keep railing against this paradigm, in a last-ditch effort, I think, to save the human race in general, we will be evolutionarily deselected as we get dumber. And Hollywood, in its infinite wisdom, makes movies about apocalypses, dystopias. And it may very well be that the Planet of the Apes might not be that far-fetched 1,000 years from now. I truly believe that. We got to turn this around somehow. And the best we can do is turn it around for ourselves, I think. And that means we pretty much have to avoid the rest of the people, because all they're going to do is try to convince us that we're wrong. And it's very hard in this world. There's plenty of us that realize that we're doing it right, and why we're doing it right, and are very frustrated because we want to help, because we're good people. Please smash the like button and show Mitch some love, says Kurt Meathead. Thank you. Show me some love. Here's my Buy Me a Coffee link. Let me put that in the chat. I'm just not doing that enough these days. There it is. Appreciate that. Okay. Wow, 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 wow. Where did all that come from? Keep an eye out for Plantman. It is a truth, and I'm hoping that the concept of Plantman, superhero, Plantman, and using Plantman as an example that people can understand. And anybody that goes out to the beach today wearing tents of clothes and floppy hats and sunglasses, smearing themselves with sunscreen, should know that the reason they can't just frolic in the sun, get the vitamin D that they need, stop putting poisonous chemicals all over their skin. And anybody that doesn't think the skin is an organ that absorbs poisons as fast as anything else has never had a case of poison ivy. I'm hoping Plantman, as an example, will give people a glimpse into the future of where human evolution is going, unless we go back to the basics that got us here before we started screwing it up. And that was in the late 1800s, when Ellen G. White and God decided, well, Ellen said, God, evidently this evolution isn't working because all men want to do is chase women and have sexual thoughts. But we can't have that. And Ellen, of course, wasn't smart enough to say to God, well, how do you explain the fact that we got here? If we weren't reproducing all the way, we would have died out long ago. Well, that never came up because that required a little bit of critical thinking. And God said, I don't care. I'm going to decree that this is the way it is. I'm God and you need to obey. And brainwashed Ellen said, yes, sir, or ma'am, or it, depending on. With her, it was probably yes, ma'am, because she was she was crusading for women's rights at the same time. So we'll give her the fact that God was a woman, and it became the doctrine of their new church, which now controls pretty much the entire healthcare system on the planet Earth, because shit like that can just happen in this world. And we have the Advent healthcare system. I have, just for fun, I have given a Latin species name, part of the taxonomy. I have named Plantman, given him his own species. I talked about this last year in a video. Nobody really caught it. But I'm going to tell you right now what to look out for. Plantman is not a Homo sapien anymore. Becoming too different to be classified as a modern human or Homo sapien. He's becoming a hybrid of humans and plants. And in homage to the start of all of this madness, of all of this ill health, suffering, pain, heart attacks, cancer, strokes, everything, Plantman should have his own genus. He's part of the genus Homo, which dates back about 2 or 3 million years to Homo erectus, Homo naledi, Homo afarensis, all the homos, of which Homo sapien is the latest and last remaining one. Well, we got a new one now. And I decree here on this day, and I hope that the historians write this down in the history books, that his name is Homo Adventus. I hope you understand the significance of what I just said. Homo Adventus, the next iteration of the human species. And if we don't change our ways, it won't be long before Homo sapien is a thing of the past, like Neanderthal, Homo neanderthalis, and all the homos that came before us. We are evolving into a new species if we continue defying all of the laws and processes that are responsible for the fact that we are alive today, and we're seeing it happen in only a very few generations. And normally that only happens at times of extinction events and bottlenecks, not when there's 8 billion people on the world, all misguided, like they are. So, I don't know if you're listening to me, you're talking to each other about the sleep you got last night. Hey, Tanya, good to see you. Good to see you, Tanya. Patty Molden's here, Lori, Thomas, Meathead. Nobody's commented on Homo Adventus. Yeah, I'm superfluous as usual. Again, I'm just talking to myself, it seems. I hope you're getting something out of this. Well, we're coming up on an hour already. Wow. Talking about putting stuff in coffee. Does he look like the people in Wall-E? No, people in Wall-E were a pretty realistic extension of what human beings would look like if we just kept going at the current rate. We'd become useless and big and fat, and we'd have to be weighted on my machines all the time and furried around everywhere because we couldn't walk. I'm talking about a physiological change. I'm talking about a change in our basic chemistry. I'm talking about our animal cells being replaced with plant cells. I'm talking about basically growing leaves out of your ears. I know it sounds far-fetched, and I may be exaggerating a little bit, but you got to see it happening. And sunburning is evidence of that. Maybe the first actual provable result of building our bodies with the plant cell replacements that evolved 1.5 billion years ago, when plants and animals went their separate ways. We're combining them again at a cellular level and replacing animal sterols, the dreaded cholesterol, which we tried to eliminate, with the plant sterols that are in the cell walls, the exterior cell walls of plants, and responsible for photosynthesis. And that's why we sunburn. And if you stop eating plants for a couple of years, you can get rid of all that plant stuff in your body and go back to being an animal again, going out in the sun without wearing a tent, absorb the vitamin D instead of taking it out of a bottle, say goodbye to skin cancer, and a host of other things. But that's just me. That's just me. And what do I know? I'm bald-headed old fart who needs to learn what sarcopenia is and eat more complete protein, according to one of my viewers. Denise King says, I never liked vegetables. Who did? What baby did you ever see that doesn't do a swan dive on top of a rib bone or something like that? You ever see? It doesn't push away instinctively all this poisonous crap that we try to feed them. Well, you don't have to say, eat your vegetables, it's good for you. I don't wanna. Eat your vegetables. No, you don't eat your vegetables, you're going to go to bed with no dinner. We badger these poor kids into killing themselves early. And then when they eat their vegetables after we poison them, what do? Good job, Johnny. Good job. Here's a treat for you. Here's some ice cream and candy for dessert. See, if you eat your vegetables, you get rewarded. And we make them sicker, and addicts and sugar addicts. And that is supposed to that's supposed to substitute for good diet advice. Eat the poison, and then here's some more poison. Don't eat the good food, because you'll have a heart attack before you're 4. We're doing this. Am I the only guy on the planet that can see the absurdity? The absurdity in this? And why we believe why we do it? And who's profiting from these beliefs? I can't be, surely. Surely people have to see the pattern in this. Now you hear people talking about, oh, childhood obesity is out of control. No shit. Childhood diabetes is out of control. No shit. Is it the red meat that's doing all this? Well, yes. According to a Harvard study and the Tufts University Food Compass study, red meat causes diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. So we need to demonize the meat even more and glorify all the shit made out of soybeans. But fertility is non-existent. We're going to go extinct by virtue of nobody has babies anymore. Wow. We'll come up with some artificial way to fix that because we manipulate everything. Trust us. We're the medical community, big pharma, big food. If you don't think we've got a new drug every day, just watch TV because that's all you're going to see are advertisements for the new drug of the day with instructions for you to go ask your doctor if you need it. But I can't even get a hold of my doctor. Well, make an appointment because you probably need this drug. And it's not a cure, it's a treatment. And you're going to have to be on it for the rest of your life. And it is kind of expensive. And you might lose your health insurance because they can't afford to keep up with this shit anymore. Federal government is paying for all of it now. Maybe they'll run out of money. You have to raise your taxes. Pretty soon you won't be able to afford to live. But why would you want to live? Because you're going to be so sick and in pain. But trust us, we're here to help you. Sandy Bly says, Mitch, today is one of your best lives ever. Don't get me started, Sandy. You know, if you know me, you know that I have, at least I think I have, a complete and thorough understanding of the problem from all aspects. Why it's a problem, where a problem came from, who benefits from this problem, why human beings are helpless to avoid this problem. That's addiction, and I know I talk about addiction above everything else. And what you have to do to get off of it, and it ain't easy. And what you do to get off of it is going to make you an outcast in this world among a bunch of people who just think you're crazy. Which makes me admire the fortitude and intelligence of anybody that even listens to the words that come out of my mouth, let alone use it as advice. And I don't even give it as advice. I take the advice. And I say, this is what happened to me. You do with it what you want. I don't want to control anybody. I don't.
Hey, I don't care. I really don't care.
It's true. It's true. You are, Guilty says, the master of your own fate. You don't need to be told what to do by me. I don't want to tell anybody what to do. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. I'm willing to use myself as a guinea pig, so you don't have to. And if you think And I'd be honest about it. And if you think, oh, I can't follow Mitch, he had a stroke. If you think that this lifestyle caused my stroke, feel free. Feel free by all means. Think what you want. You know, I react to these comments. Part of that is a shtick. You know what a shtick is? It's my act. It's entertaining. People like to hear other people bitch about things. I don't care. Just go away. That's my philosophy. Go do your thing. Just leave me out of it. Don't try to hurt me because you don't agree with me. Don't try to change me because you don't agree with me. Don't try to fix me because you think your way is better. It might be. And that's just human nature. Everybody wants to show you how smart they are, how much more they know than you. I don't. You may know a lot more about a lot of things than I do. Nobody knows everything about everything. It's impossible. Laurie says, Mitch, you do tell us what to do at the end of every live stream video. Yeah, I guess. Take the rest of the day off and eat meat. All right, I'm guilty. You're right, Laurie. You're right. It's that a little dictator gene in me. It's a suggestion, though. Maybe I should say that instead of, my suggestion for you is to take this. Yeah. Tuka, when will you teach us how to type in English? Tuka says, my typing is really hampered by my improving right hand, and I'm still not comfortable. It takes me, I make a lot of mistakes when I type. That's why I like voice typing, but that's a lazy way out. So I try to type when I can. Oh, yeah. Well, listen, guys, I'm not going to go too long today. It's already too late to salvage this. I think it was a good stream. I see here Randy K, member for 22 months. Wow. Look at that, Randy. Randy was one of my first ardent supporters. Bought my first shirt. But I probably missed a ton of questions today. It is Monday. Kelsey was here. The gang's all here, 127 of you. That's great. Rick says, Mitch will be on later. No, I'm on now. Sandy, I have never done voice typing. Papa Carnivore says, Homo erectus. Yes, Peter. Homo erectus was one of the first genus Homo species. And the name, even though you may like to attribute a different meaning to it, because we know how you might be thinking. The erect part of Homo erectus meant they walked upright on two legs. But our minds wander off into innuendo. Hey, CB, how you doing, my friend? You doing? Good to see you. You got it. Charge your mobile. Oh, Rick's got a new girlfriend? I don't even want to know. Jay Bud, do you know about G1 inhibitors? Not really. No, it's not something I've come across. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't required to learn every drug because that's what they teach doctors in allopathic medicine. Here's a symptom. Here's the drug we recommend. Write the prescription. That's it. Don't even ask them what they eat because that couldn't possibly be the cause of any problems they have. So all problems must be treated by drugs. That is law And we won't let you practice medicine. We'll take your license away. We'll get you up before review boards. We will censure you if you stray from this here standard of care. And that's what we have. That's the practice of medicine, with a little trauma stuff thrown in, which really is very necessary to have trauma centers to treat accident victims, stroke victims, get them back on the path. But the path they put you back on is a deadly path. So you gotta know when to escape, and that's the hardest part. That's what I focused on during my recovery, at least initially, was just getting away from them, get out of their clutches, stop eating that poisonous crap that they were serving me, masquerading as meat and eggs. J-Bud, I'll find out what it is. I haven't come across it. There are, believe it or not, I don't know everything. I readily admit that. But when I do decide to learn about something, I do. Like I did with creatine. I do a deep dive, try to find out everything I can and filter out what's nonsense from what's reality. And still at the end of all that, the best I can ever have is one man's opinion. I don't tell people take what I say to the bank. You can count it. I say, this is my opinion. How many times have you heard those words come out of my mouth? I think more of us should do that in this world. Qualify what we say. But that's not the way where society works. Kiltz is still here. Love all. See you all later. Kiltzy, thanks for hanging around, man. Hope we entertained you. I hope I didn't get too crazy for you. But Plantman's coming. Plantman's coming. We keep going the way we're going. We're going to start sprouting leaves growing out of our ears. We won't be able to leave. We're gonna become nocturnal creatures living in caves again because we can't go out into the sunlight. It will kill us during the transition until we become rooted in the soil and grow flowers and attract the bees. Wondering, where'd the humans go? And then we'll figure out ways to poison other animals to keep them from eating us. And the evolution will have been complete. Fortunately, none of us alive today are going to be around to see it. But if evolution tells you anything, is that pretty much anything can happen. Look at the variety of different species on this planet today. Every one of them, a descendant of that first eukaryote cell. All those millions and hundreds of millions and millions of years ago. That is provable science. Provable genetically, too. Whether you believe the proof or think it's just a conspiracy theory, again, that's up to you. I can just present you my theories. You can agree or not. Scotter says, take care, Kelsey. Kelsey, you take care of yourself, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And rinse and repeat. Dolores Walls. When you hear the truth, you will know it, and the truth will set you free. One of your best. Thank you. I assume you're complimenting me. Thank you. Laurie says, thank you, Mitch. And I'll tell you what, I am going to get on with my day. I love this early thing. It's 12 minutes after 8 o'clock. Got my I may make a video today or maybe not, but I certainly got my share of talking out this morning because, like I told you, I normally don't talk at all during the day. I have nobody to talk to but myself. That I do on the inside. That I do on the inside. Mudbone, Larry, enjoy your walk, Mitch. Aaron says, goodbye, everybody. Let me play you a little bit of happy music. Hey. That's good. It's cool. It's tough to beat time to the music because there's a slight delay between audio and video and everything, depending on how the internet gets it out there. So it may look like I have no rhythm, but I have a lot of rhythm. And if I try to play to this music, what you're going to hear is probably a little out of sync. So I notice that one every time I sit here before the show and I beat with my hands, because when there's music playing, some part of me is always moving. Either my foot's tapping, my hands are beating drums. I cannot not feel or react to a rhythm in some way. Been that way all my life. Kelsey's still here. Oh no, that was earlier. Wow, that was way back. Okay, bye everyone. Dolores Small says, love your music choice. It's pretty well dictated by what I can play. It's not copyrighted, which really limits it. So I tried to find a couple of catchy tunes that I know are okay to use. And Rick says, catch you next time. Bike ride time. Have a good ride. Be careful. Don't let them run you off the road down there in Miami. J-Bud, have a great day, everybody. Nikki W., happy Labor Day. Yes, it is the day off. It is but some people still have to work. Who's got the next live? Don't know. Don't know. If somebody comes on after me, shoot me an email and tell me. I follow you every day, and I'll try to send them over there. Well, that's it. Louis Latino says, see you at 5:30 p.m. Yes. And Lizzie, happy Labor Day. Thank you, Lizzie, so much. Thank you so much, sweetie. Appreciate that. You see that big green thing up there? The super chat. Okay, but somebody said, Alia the Carnivore at 9 a.m. on Kilt's live stream. 9 a.m. Okay. Take care, Mitch, and everybody. Happy Labor Day, says Smoothie. So, until tonight at 5:30, where you're going to get more of me on the Kilt's Mighty Tribe Zoom call. I'll try to think up something new to say. And if I can't, I'll just repeat the same old stuff because you can't hear it often enough. We need the reinforcement every day. It's so easy with so many people trying to knock us off the path we're on. Why, I don't know. They just don't leave us do what we want to do. We'll leave them alone, kill themselves. Till then, my friends, here it comes. I suggest that the proper thing to do, in my opinion, I'm not telling you this in any way, shape, or form to be considered an order, but merely a suggestion. Take the rest of the day off. I know my sarcasm's showing. And eat meat.